Since the speed limit was lowered on La-Crosse's Losey Boulevard, speeding tickets and warnings just about tripled.
Some in the community, including law enforcement, say more needs to be done to get drivers to slow down. Reporter Mal Meyer joins us now with this News 8 Now investigation.
Mike and Martha, the speed limit dropped from 30 to 25 miles per hour on Losey Boulevard on June 23, 2017. I wanted to know how many tickets and warnings were issued at the same time period before and after the change, and found that warnings and tickets have increased dramatically. I spoke with one of the residents who sparked the change and city officials to find out what more could be done to get drivers to follow the speed limit. For more than 30 years, Barb Clark and her family have lived on Losey Boulevard.
Why did we pick this house? My husband found it, and it was great.
Near a gas station, down the street from the grocery store, and just a few blocks away, there were schools for their kids.
So that's why we purchased it.
But as time went on, she started noticing more semi-traffic. The road was deteriorating. Drivers were speeding by.
My house was literally shaking when especially when the semis would go by. It would vibrate.
Her neighbors felt it too.
We went to the council.
Their petition called for city leaders to repair Losey Boulevard, change the traffic signals at the State Road intersection, reduce the speed limit to 25 miles per hour, and reroute semis to other locations.
We pay a lot in taxes, and we live in a residential area, and we shouldn't have to worry about the speed on the road or the vibrations of our house.
In a letter, City Engineer Randy Turtenwald recommended repairing portions of Losey, but called the speeding problem a law enforcement issue. Turtenwald did not respond to our request for an interview for this story. In the letter, he said, "In my opinion, reducing the speed limit back to 25 miles per hour is not going to slow the traffic down without heavy law enforcement."
Started off with a lot of written warnings.
Officers were out on the road, especially right after the change and during construction.
At first it was educating people, making sure people were aware, being present, being visual about the decrease in the speed.
Data from the police department shows that the most number of tickets are given for 10 miles per hour over the posted speed limit. That means before, the most number of tickets were issued for drivers going 40 miles per hour. But now, the most number of tickets are issued for drivers going 35 miles per hour.
It wasn't right away, but over the course of the months, I've noticed that people are driving slower.
But still, the number of tickets and warnings have about tripled. Lieutenant Avery Schott of the La-Crosse Police Department says they can only do so much.
We could go out and we could write 1,000 tickets today and for speeding, and tomorrow you're still going to have somebody speeding. Ultimately, I think it comes down to them choosing to follow the speed limits as well as looking at the traffic flow and the traffic patterns.
It was an issue that the city's engineer did address in his letter of recommendation. Instead of changing the speed limit, Turtenwald said the better way to slow traffic down is to implement traffic calming measures.
It's a very wide arterial, and with the the 4 travel lanes and that center turning lane, I think it just has a tendency for folks to go a bit faster.
After the neighbors handed in their petition, the city implemented some of their requests.
We really tried to be as comprehensive as we could with the physical changes to the roadway, the signal changes, and then the speed limit to really have it the best of both worlds. So still have it a main arterial for folks to get north-south, but also to reduce the impacts of the neighbors and the people that live along it.
But Mayor Tim Cabot says the time to implement additional calming measures would be during a larger reconstruction project. Since the city has been repaving sections, it isn't necessarily feasible now, but could be in time.
I do think that we should look at ways to perhaps narrow the lanes, add more green, trees and landscaping perhaps, to look at other options for walking and biking.
The amount of cars passing through on Losey has decreased over time, according to the city engineer's letter of recommendation. Turtenwald said the city could consider reducing the number of lanes, which Cabot agrees with down the line.
That's something that I think the city will look at in the future.
For now, the speed limit isn't changing. While some may be looking for it to turn back to 30, the changes the city made to Losey was all about keeping it as a main thoroughfare while meeting the needs of those who live here. If there would be an effort to change the speed limit back, Mayor Tim Cabot says that would have to really go through the other council members, but so far he hasn't heard any discussion of that.
All right, thanks so much, Mel, for your report.